Welcome back to the Hitting the Turnbuckle podcast, NWA Shockwave Part 4 or 5 this week. It is just me, your host, Adam Cousins, my usual NWA Ride or Die. Miss Fiona Loughran is on location this week with the legendary Mark Mero. She will return, of course, to the channel next week. Now, NWA celebrated a milestone this week, 200 episodes of NWA Powerr. We've had the privilege of reviewing nearly 90 of those episodes, and nearly halfway. We're not doing too bad on the channel for NWA Powerr. Congratulations to all involved: Billy, Joe, Deal Machine, Carl Davis, the roster. You've certainly done a very, very well to get to 200 episodes, and NWA keeps on improving, keeps getting better and better, and who knows what's going to happen in the next 200. And here is to the next 200, and we will be reviewing certainly those next 200 episodes. So congratulations to all involved at the NWA. It was a really nice little video package to begin Powerr this week, celebrating the fact that it is the 200th episode, which then leads us into the opening contest. Now, the opening contest is a tag team match. Size that matters. The big 6 foot plus 400 pound Sam Stackhouse and the 3 foot 115 pound Smalls going against the country gentlemen, KC and AJ. Of course, with Papa Joe Kazana in the corner. Now, these two teams may well be in the Crocket Cup next month. So they've got some, this match really is an interesting one, considering only one team at this present time have been confirmed for the Crocket Cup, and that is Knox and Murdoch, who are seeds 1. So are they vying for higher seeds in the tournament? We will wait and see. This match was a bundle of fun when Smalls was in there. Smalls was getting the brunt of the punishment, getting thrown around like he always does. But when he makes that tag, the big man, Sam Stackhouse, comes in and makes a hell of a difference. I don't think I've seen AJ Kazana thrown around, or even Casey Kazana, that might, as to be honest, throwing around as much as when Sam Stackhouse is in there. He's got a bit of he can move for a big guy, for a 400 pounder. He's got some moving as well. We say that quite a lot in the NWA, but very, very true saying is that, because a lot of their big guys can move, and Sam certainly can. We know that he does some moonsaults as well. 400 pound guy doing a moonsault, for God's sake. He is a sight to see, that's for sure. I will stress, though, that they didn't get the job done this week. Smalls was seemingly on his way to victory. Sam Stackhouse gets beaten up and thrown out the ring, and just as Smalls is looking like he is on the verge, Mr. Joe Kazana gets on the ring apron. He's got the book in his hand. Obviously, they do it all by the book, apparently, do the country gentlemen. And as that was going on, Smalls decided, well, he pretty much comes up to Joe Kazana's balls. So you know what? Bosh! He absolutely levers him in the balls, which of course gives AJ Kazana a chance to recuperate and hit a big time power bomb onto Eric Smalls and pins him 1, 2, 3. Country gentlemen pick up the W this week on Powerr, and I would imagine they will be seeded quite highly should they indeed be in the Crocket Cup next month. And I think that Smalls and Sam Stackhouse deserve an opportunity. They may not be very high up on the seeding because they're a rather new team, so perhaps a lower seed for them, but big opportunity for them in the Crocket Cup. I certainly wouldn't rule them out. Aaron Stevens. I wanted to touch on Aaron Stevens next, regardless of where this comes into Powerr this week. Since the beginning of Shockwave, we found out that Aaron Stevens had indeed re-signed a contract with the NWA, and Z contract entitles him to a title opportunity. He has been targeting Latimer over the last few weeks, certainly with interest in promos, perhaps trying to get into the head of the NWA World's Heavyweight Champion. This week's promo was no different. I'm really intrigued though about some of the bits in this promo. Like the intriguingness for me is what's the purpose of having Smalls and Stackhouse in the promo? They're involved in it nearly every promo he's in, and you want question yourself why? Because generally, let's face it, we know he's had his problems with Eric Smalls. Is this Aaron Stevens' magical world that he's living in? Maybe. Um, but is there a reason that Smalls and Stackhouse are in there with BFT? They're not against BFT. BFT are in there, and you can understand that. We saw the Exodus 6 in the promo. They were going back to with Latimer's matches with EC3. So the Exodus 6 were in the promo. So you're wondering, is there anything going on there? We've seen Carson Drake in promos recently as well with Aaron. Very interesting to say that Tom hasn't been Tom and all of this sort of stuff. And you're wondering, is he still trying to get into his head or is he already in there? And we just don't know it yet. That is the other interesting thing we have to say about this is Aaron Stevens is doing his very best to get into the head of the world champion Tom Latimer. And, we don't know if it's working. But I will say this, Aaron Stevens, whether it's a promo, whether it's one of the promos that we've seen, whether it's an in-ring promo or whatever, he is money. When that guy talks, you shut up and you listen. I tell you that much. He's a promo machine. And he wasn't going to be talking in rhyme this week either in his promo. He certainly didn't do that. And he's definitely got his eyes on the prize in the NWA. He's definitely got his eyes on that World Heavyweight Championship. And Latimer, we don't know if he's affected yet. That's the thing. We don't know if Latimer is maybe crumbling inside under the pressure of Aaron Stevens. We will wait and see. Can't be long now before we find out. I mean, Shockwave has been 4 or 5 weeks now, so we must be getting near the end of Shockwave. So you would think any time soon we would have that aforementioned World Heavyweight Championship match, and we will see how in the head of Tom Latimer is Aaron Stevens. But the promo itself is pure gold. It's weird, it's wacky, but it's great when he talks because the guy is just fantastic on the mic. There is no doubt about that. I don't think in the NWA, I don't think anyone can hold a candle to him in a promo battle. Maybe EC3. Maybe we haven't seen him in a while since that cage match, funnily enough. So maybe EC3 could hold a stick to him against in a promo battle, but I don't see anybody else coming close. But Aaron Stevens, promo machine, and Latimer, he may not. Maybe Tom Latimer doesn't fear Aaron Stevens in the ring, but if he's in your head, and especially what does Smalls and Stackhouse have to do with this? Maybe we'll find out a bit more next week. Maybe the match is next week. Maybe it's a gauntlet. I don't know. Maybe is that the whole thing? I don't know. But intriguing stuff. And this is why I've loved this kind of set of NWA tape, the episodes that we're watching right now, because like I've said before, sometimes you see a match happen and then or you see something happen and then you have to wait 4 or 5 weeks before the match happens. They've kept there's kind of three big points to what's been going on at Shockwave. There's the NWA World Championship. There's the stuff with Kenzie and Kylie and Hunter and Markova and that. And then there's also the stuff with the Southern Six. And that's been on our screens near enough every single week. Obviously because of the Jack's Day Memorial and all of that stuff. But it's great to see it because it's a continuation of stories, which is one thing that perhaps the NWA was missing, with the Powerr episodes. But with this, I don't feel as if they're missing it right now. I think it's been great to have sort of three big, I would say, three kind of storylines playing out across that kind of the season, the Shockwave season, shall we say. It has really made for interesting viewing because you want to watch next week because you want to find out what happens. And that's kind of sometimes what you don't get with NWA, but we're seeing it now with these three storylines. I hope it's something that they continue doing, even if it's just with two storylines or even with one. As long as it gives you a reason to watch next week. And these promos and the stories that are going on have certainly done that. So big up NWA for that. That's been a brilliant, brilliant thing that they've introduced, certainly, into the Shockwave season. We move on quickly to the next kind of what I was just kind of getting into, the Kenzie and Kylie situation. Now, if you remember, when Shockwave begun, there was this thing about, there was a look that Kylie gave Hunter. It didn't look as if things were quite right there. We've seen Kylie kind of rehabbing, flirting with Birchall, sort of, having a go at Brian Idol, talking about Markova. And this week, it's the first time I've seen Kenzie Page look vulnerable. She is normally very confident. She's normally obviously attitude. She's normally just a general. This week she looks scared and vulnerable and concerned because of course she is the tag team champion. She is the holder of the belt. But the big thing is in Kenzie's head right now is Natalia Markova. Although Markova is not number one contender, as we know yet, of course. But she is vowing to be the next NWA Women's World Champion. And Kenzie's concerned. Kenzie really is. And Kylie's like, Hunter's got Markova coming up, and he's confident he can beat her. And more about that in a minute because we'll get to the Markova bit. But Kenzie's concern right now, Tommy, the dad was trying to put her at ease, and say, look, you're the women's world champion. You are the one in that women's division. And Kenzie seems worried, and it's the first time we've ever seen maybe a bit of weakness coming into Kenzie. She probably won't like me saying that if she watches this, but some weakness perhaps with the Page sisters right now, and Kylie's obviously rehabbing still the injury. But yeah, this is a strange one for me. First time that I've seen any weakness with any of the Page sisters is right now. And if you're Mark Over, you need to be watching that and perhaps thinking, hey, I've got a chance here. This is an opportunity. Very, very unlike the Page sisters, especially Kenzie, to be showing weakness. So we'll see what happens with that. And again, that's like we've still got some time. I mean, she's the tag champ. She's she's the holder of the Burke. I mean, she's got it all. But is that the problem? We will see we'll see next week. Hopefully, we'll see another installment at the Page sisters' house, and well, at least Kenzie's house, and we will see what happens. Very intriguing times. Now, big strong Mims was in action this week. He was defending the television championship against someone who has taken the NWA by storm since coming in, that being Mr. Mike Mondo. I'm a big fan of both of these guys, but I felt, and this may not make any sense at all when I say it, but I felt that the styles were too much the same. Like in some cases, the clashes of styles help because there is that bit of a differentiation between the wrestlers in the ring. But I felt the match was kind of like hit and miss in areas. And I think it's maybe because they were both just the styles were just too similar, if that makes any sense at all. And it just kind of like it was in and out, in and out, in and out. I was kind of like, so oh, yeah, this is good, this is good, and then it just kind of, and I was like, maybe not, and it just that whole match was exactly the same. As I said, maybe too much of the same clash of styles, not sorry, maybe too much of the same style, shall we say, for both of these men. Still a hard-hitting contest, lots of near falls, which was good. Black G's, of course, at ringside with Mims, and it was the aforementioned Black G's that had a hand in the finish. He got involved. He got in the ring. He didn't lay his hands on Mondo. Mondo laid his hands on him, so the referee didn't call for a disqualification. But the referee, but sorry, Mike Mondo put the Boston Crab onto Black G's, which allows Mims to recuperate and get involved. So we've had two matches, two bits of the same kind of interference, and then allowing Mims to pick up the victory and retain the championship. So we've had, yeah, two matches very similar in finish this week on NWA. I do wonder though, and I was thinking about this. Obviously, Carson Drake is very close to the Lucky Seven, and we kind of know that that's where it's going. He's going to be cashing in the opportunity. Mims can't be far behind here with the Lucky Seven. Surely he's on 3 or 4 now. I've got to say, he's got to be close. And with that being said, does he get an opportunity at perhaps the NWA World Championship as well? You know, you do have to wonder all of this sort of stuff, and you can't take your eyes off of the Lucky Seven opportunity. And Mims must be close, if not there. I mean, I don't recall them mentioning it on commentary. Maybe I didn't hear it right. But he must be on at least 4 now. He must be getting close to the Lucky Seven opportunity, which poses yet another problem for Tom Latimer and the World Championship, let alone Aaron Stevens. You got Carson Drake and perhaps big strong Mims to worry about as well. But the match itself, like I said, I think it was too much of the same style. Didn't it worked and it didn't work in a lot of ways. That makes sense. But again, the finish was a lot like the first match, so we're kind of like going along down that route, which I'm not a fan of personally, but matches itself really, really good. Enjoy it. Just felt this one was a bit hit and miss in areas. It's got a bit of a hit and miss match really, but as I said, too much of the same style for me. We move on to the gym. Natalia Markova, one wonders, by the way, just who will be facing Natalia Neidhart at the Crocket Cup in Philadelphia. That is another one. Who's Natty going to be facing? Could it even be Natalia Markova? Come the Crocket Cup, we'll find out. But she was in the gym with Brian Idol, and Brian Idol was kind of like, look, you can't underestimate Hunter Drake, and your opportunity at the Women's World Championship. Like if Markova loses this match, apparently she doesn't get an opportunity for the championship. And I just feel that in this segment, I'm not sure whether this was done deliberately. Markova was coming across like a heel. Like she was really underestimating Hunter Drake. Like she's got this in the bag. She doesn't even need to train. It's done. She's already, in her eyes, she's already won the match. And I'm just thinking, is that a little bit, is Markova turning here? Is this where they're going with it? Because we know the Page sisters are kind of faces 1 minute, heels the next, depending on the I suppose the state in America that they're in. Markova was coming across like a very, very heelish character on this week, and I just wonder if that's where we're going with her. And she was very dismissive of Hunter Drake's chances. And I'm telling you now, Hunter Drake is a blue chipper in that ring. He has got a brightest of bright futures. And I certainly wouldn't, rule him out on this match whatsoever. And I think Markova could be making a bit of a big mistake if she thinks she's going to walk into this ring and it's going to be a cakewalk. I mean, she's very, very good. No question about that. But I just feel like she is maybe brushing this one off when she really shouldn't be. We will wait and see when that match happens. Hopefully it's next week. Because I'm really looking forward to seeing what could happen between Markova and Hunter Drake. But that by no means should she be underestimating Hunter Drake by any stretch of the imagination. We come to the final match, or the main event, shall we say, and not the finishing segment, but the main event of the 200th episode of NWA Powerr. Now, it was scheduled to be Knox and Murdoch, and I'm going to do my best Carl Davis impression here, versus the Slime Balls. But Trevor Murdoch was unable to make it to the Shockwave show, and Mike Knox was like, well, I've spoke to Trevor, and he's told me to go home, have a few beers, and relax, which the crowd didn't like. But he said, but I'm not going to do that. And he decided that he was going to take on the Slime Balls in a 2-on-1 handicap match. Now, obviously, Knox and Murdoch rank one in the Crocket Cup. The Slime Balls are going to be in there. They can't be, they've got to be quite high up in the rankings. You would think at least halfway, maybe like rank eight, rank nine, surely. And if they got the victory here, maybe even higher. Who knows? And Murdoch held his own in this match. I mean, he's a big old. They may have had the numerical advantage, but they didn't have the size and stature advantage that Murdoch. You could have put the slime balls together, and they would just about be about the height of Murdoch. Not Murdoch, Knox. Sorry, in this, he held his own in there. He had the match won at one point of this, and then the ref restarted the match. I think maybe the wrong slime ball was pinned. I don't know if the legal man was pinned or not. And they had to restart the match. Now, when they done that, that brought along Carson Bartholomew Drake, who gets involved behind the referee's back. Again, we've had three matches on Power that have all ended the same way this week. They have all had interference, which has caused the team to win. Carson Drake, I think, hits him with a watch or hits Knox with something. That allows the Slime Balls to pick up a surprising victory over Mike Knox. Nevertheless, Knox wasn't very happy. He got back up, and boy, did he take it out on the Slime Balls. That is for certain. And Carson Drake is picking a fight that he really shouldn't be picking with Mike Knox. I'm sorry, Drake, but Carson Drake, you need to be very careful who you pick your fights with in the NWA. And just because you beat Max doesn't mean that you know, can beat Mike Knox or even Trevor Murdoch for that matter. But the interference from Carson Drake cost Mike Knox the match, and the Slime Bars pick up a very impressive victory going into Crocket Cup season. Now, again, like I mentioned, that should theoretically maybe make them higher up the seeds than perhaps a lot of people are thinking with that win. I'm sure, Billy, you're going to be working out the seeds, and we'll see that very, very soon. But you can't think now that the Slime Balls are not going to be high up that list. Maybe higher than a lot of people expected. But my only criticism this week of NWA was every match had the same kind of interference in which ended the matches. And that, you don't need that every week. You don't need that every match. Yeah, that was a little bit disappointing for me. I just felt like, was it needed? I'm not sure. But we then go to the Southern Six Man Cave Clubhouse, whatever you want to call it. Now, this is going to be interesting because those of you that remember last week on Power, Kerry Morton inadvertently kicked the head off of Thrillbilly Silas Mason, costing him the match against Colby Carino and thus knocking out the Thrillbilly from the Jack's Day Memorial. And there was talking in there, and Thrillbilly weren't happy, and Kerry was like, look, I didn't mean to do it. It was a total accident. And Thrillbilly was like, okay, well, if it was an accident, it was an accident. Doesn't matter because you're going to go and win on the tournament. I don't think all is well in Camp 6 in the NWA. I really do think that there is a few short things in there. I mean, Ricky Morton was getting involved as well, and Thrillbilly isn't happy now. Kerry Morton's got his match coming up in the tournament very, very soon. I'm going to get Birchall, I think. I don't know. I have a sneaky suspicion that Thrillbilly may cost Kerry Morton. And the guy I feel sorry for in this is Too Hot to Trot AT, who's just kind of sitting there doing nothing. Sort of, their friends are arguing all the time, and he just seems to be like sitting there. I don't know. I feel sorry for AT in this, but it's I don't know. I don't know where they're going to go from here, but the Southern Six should be defending the Crocket Cup, right? Come what may, they should be defending that Crocket Cup trophy. So you would expect them to be in there. Maybe they'll put Thrillbilly and Kerry in there, and they will be the Crocket Cup. I think AT and Kerry Morton was in it last time. I think AT and Kerry were the winners, but perhaps they will put the Thrillbilly in there and Kerry Morton as a team. Does that cost them the Crocket Cup? We will have to wait and find out. But guys, look, you can catch NWA every week on X. This week it was actually on the NWA YouTube channel. But if you go to the NWA's official X account every Tuesday, the episode is pinned to the page, so you can see all the action in the NWA. Coming up on the channel, we're going to be talking, actually, we're going to be in an NWA spotlight with Tyler Franks, someone who's got a big future in the NWA. Dropping next week, the interview with the coach, Jonathan Coachman, as we enter WrestleMania season. Big thanks and a big shout out to TNA and Leon Slater for the interview. That is in the playlist option. Go to special guest interview playlist. Go to the bottom of that page. You will see Leon Slater, but you'll also see interviews in there of Eric Bischoff, Jake Roberts, Buff Bagwell, and Diamond Dallas Page, amongst others. You can keep it locked right here at HTT Buckle on YouTube, HTT Buckle on X, here in the Turnbuckle podcast on all other social media outlets. You can see what we're up to. See what's coming up on the channel. We've obviously got review shows. We're going to be at Ignite again in a month's time with a Turnbuckle Type Championship opportunity falls for a Luna and the returning champion, Mark True. Last Stand, Ignite. Go to 96 Eventbrite. Type in Ignite Wrestling Last Stand. You will be able to get your tickets. They are going like hotcakes. So make sure you get it, because trust me when I tell you, there is a match of the year candidate has already been announced in a triple threat match between Corey McRae, Joe Lando, and forgive me, I can't even remember who the guy. Ooh, that is really bad of me. Chris, I really do apologize. Corey and the crew, I apologize to you all. But nevertheless, there is one other match on there to be announced. And when that is announced, trust me when I tell you, it is gonna be huge. And I can't wait to be able to watch that match and the other matches as I just get up. And it's Kieran Lacey. Oh, fuck. Of all people to forget out of that triple threat match, it's Kieran Lacey. Yes, Corey McRae, Joe Lando, Kieran Lacey, triple threat. Smashing Mike, Chris Aries in the match number 2 of their little mini grudge that they're going on. And of course, the breakout returns. Bart O'Connor, Callum Beck, Tom Mercer in a triple threat match. And the main event, Tommy Kyle defends the Ignite Wrestling Championship against Joe Kessler. But you have to wonder, as the year is looming for Taylor James and his Call Your Shot briefcase, will he decide to cash it in? You have to wait and see. Go and get, as I said, 96 Eventbrite to go and get your tickets. But for you NWA fans, we'll be back next week with another episode, and Fiona Loughran will return. But until then, everybody, buckle down, stay safe, and goodbye.